Hi again, this is Professor Lucien, and this is our Module 4 review for Safety 701, Research Methods. What's interesting is every week when I create these review videos for you, one, I'm trying to inform you on your progress and give you insight to how you compare to your peers. But I look back at previous semesters' review slides, and it's interesting that the comments that I would have made were made at similar points in time in previous semesters. But this week I'm doing something a little bit different because I like to customize to the class in which you guys are telling me. And the reflections, I shouldn't say that the reflections, but I'm reflecting. I try to do that in the morning after 1 cup of coffee is when my brain tends to be at its most mossy. And based on some of the things I've seen on the discussion board, I want to bring up some new things. But as you've probably already read the screen that I'm enjoying the phone calls and the WebExes. I feel really good with those students I've spoken to. Now, at this point, and I'm already seeing it in early discussion board posts, is there is some fatigue, and that's natural. I mean, look we're halfway through the course. We're getting into week 5. Look at what you guys have accomplished. I would ask you to look back at what you were saying and what you were thinking pre-semester or in week 1, and look where you are now. You guys have grown so much. Or I shouldn't say you've grown. That's a very immature term. What you've done is you've really developed important skills. And I know some of you are questioning the value of it. Why does it count? What does it mean? And I was just thinking before I hit record that I started working in safety in March of 1994. That's a long time ago. And the hands-on, on the job learning was really exciting. But over time, what I realized, it was the learning that I enjoyed so much. To understand things from different perspectives, to understand how things work, how things interact, how they affect each other. That's really interesting. And that's why I went back to grad school, is once I had, in my view, mastered the physical interaction, environmental, I want to understand how people interact and what drives them. And so that's what I studied in graduate school. And what I'm doing for you, what I've created for you and have allowed you to experience is a very much a crash course in research, in scientific inquiry, to really think things through, to find proof. Yeah, proof is a good word, to really understand what's going on. When I was in grad school, what you've gone through in 4 weeks, I had to kind of do on my own, but I had to live it for years. And so that's what put me in the position I'm in, that I hope you trust me to kind of take you on this journey. Yeah. So if you haven't submitted or uploaded, if you haven't completed and uploaded your certificates for the Human Subjects Protection Training, please do that by this time next week. Most of you have already completed it. We just have 9 students who still have to submit everything. So we did have a little bit of a decline in what was submitted this week. I totally expected that to come. That usually happens this week or in the 4th week. But the numbers are still very, very good. What I'm seeing trends. I don't know if you guys realize this or not, but I approach my courses as I would approach my practice in safety, and that is a learning approach, is what I'm studying. If I was practicing safety, I'm studying the work and studying the people. In my classes, I'm studying you, and I'm looking for trends, and I'm trying to use numbers to track those trends. And I have found that, yeah, there are some students in this class who didn't initially engage or didn't fully appreciate what they needed to do. And this is the point in which they are sort of called to the carpet, and it's very clear that you need some assistance to catch up to everybody else. And what's interesting is those of you who are in the lead, who are doing this amazing, you're questioning yourselves. I'm the same way. But I know some of you comment about what I say on here because I'm just sort of speaking off the top of my head. But please, I'm here if you want to talk to me or go to an office hour. That's sort of an advantage of being in this course, that I like to interact with my students. I can give the one-on-one. I'm not just, throwing out, to the world, here's information, learn it and tell me how you learned it. No, that's not a good way to put it. Here's some facts, regurgitate them back to me. And I reject that pedagogy. I don't think it works. And it looks like, based on the bottom here, 70% of you got your topic approved this week. Yesterday when I was looking, I really read them. I just want you to know that. I spent 5 or 6 hours really going through everything and tried to give you all very specific feedback on what I was seeing. And it's going to relate to some of the comments I I'll make in a little bit here. I know some of you are worried that this 4-week experience of developing skills, knowledge, ability is going to end, and it really doesn't. This was just a pre-warm-up, if you will. My ability to practice environmental safety and health was greatly improved when I really understood and developed the skills for scientific inquiry and research. Because it's the pursuit of the truth versus the pursuit of, I think this will work, that this feels good enough, my gut check says this is right. Seeking out information, seeking out what's been established in the research, and using data to drive your decisions is a better way to practice, a more professional way to practice. I think you've probably already read this screen. I'm repeating. I took out like 6 slides from the previous generation of this because I was just reiterating the same thing. And I think you guys are getting sick of it. That let the literature inform you and let that be your guide in your writing. I'm working with my undergrads right now, and they had to write a memo based on a lab we had done. And my advice was, let the lab results be the main point of your memo, not what you think of it. And some of them are doing okay, some are having issues. I got to put together a video to inform them. I like this figure. I kept it. This is what we've been doing for 4 weeks. In week 1, I wanted to start thinking of topics. And I had, is it something you experienced at work? Or is it something that you've read about? And we started out with very general questions, almost everybody. I don't know what that was. That was weird. Kind of a click. And then we attempted to then define some research questions. And some of you jumped into it and got ahead and really started working towards it, narrowing it, leading to what would be what you think is going to happen should you test this question. And I think that's a good figure. I think it really defines, and I found this. I didn't create this. I found this on Google Images. I think it's what we've all been going through. I also found this, and this is failure. These are common mistakes that we found in week 4. I think it's interesting that somebody else observed the same thing. It's sort of an external validation. Failure to provide a proper context to frame the research objectives. I had talked to some of you about that, or provided feedback. No clear explanation of the scope. Failure to cite landmark studies and important ones. There is inaccurate presentation of the theoretical and empirical contributions by other researchers. Failure to stay focused on the research objectives. And finally, lack of development of a coherent and persuasive argument for the proposed research. These are common things. And but again, 70% of you impressed me enough. You gave me enough that I approved it. And I was stringent this time. I'm glad I was able to. Usually I become a softie. I want to go back to what I started talking about earlier in this presentation. Of course, it's always gone too long. And what my personal objectives were for this experience for you. That am I teaching you safety? No. But what I learned, thinking back to my education, is when I was getting my engineering degree, I was taking all these different classes, and we had weekly homework and bi-weekly lab reports and a semester project or two. What I found is through replication, they were building my skills, that my approach to solving problems had a technique to it. And that's what I took from undergrad to my early career in safety, was the ability to properly identify a problem, identify what is known or the assumptions, choose the proper technique or approach, and then attempt to solve it based on that. When I got to graduate school, what I found is they were teaching me the scientific inquiry method. And through all my courses, I was developing that skill, and it was informing me. And what's beautiful about it is that now it's guiding my career, that approach. I use it in teaching, I use it in my practice. And to be so inquisitive that I want to understand things, and sometimes I don't have enough time. You guys talked about rabbit holes and being distracted. That's pretty much my life. I don't know why my sinuses are running so much. And it's probably because I only have one cup of coffee. But this is meant to be enjoyable. I find a lot of satisfaction and freedom in being able to search out and understand things. And that's what this is about. I hope you, in the next 4 weeks, think back, reflect, and can appreciate what this experience has given to you, because it's going to make your other courses easier, because the skill set is something you're going to take with you. Whether you do formal research or not, it doesn't matter. As long as you're willing or desire to understand things and be objective, to use the scientific technique. That's really all I'm asking. I think that's, I could have read, and of course I've got the Wizard of Oz. I'm supposed to be the guy behind the curtain, but that's probably a really bad analogy. I'm probably better sticking to the Matrix analogies. But in the final 4 weeks here, I hope, if you haven't already, you join me in one of the office hours. We don't have to talk about class topics. We can talk about work topics. And that's what we did this last summer in 783. And I've had former students reach out to me through LinkedIn that, is there any way we could reconnect and do something like this? And that is something I'm working toward. These first 4 weeks are very labor intensive for me for this class, because I'm really trying to be there each day and monitor what you say and take measurements every week and provide this weekly review, plus the 2 face-to-face or virtual face-to-face WebExes, which is that I think that's the requirement of a research methods boot camp that I've created here. But now I'm going to be a little bit more hands off once we get everybody with an approved topic. But I want you to come to me should you need the assistance. Share with me what you're going through. That helps me. Helps me with serving what you need and what others. I'm going on and on, so I'm just going to end this right now and just say, you're all doing a great job. You're all in different points on this path that I've built. But don't worry, I'm making sure you don't stray off that path. And I'm going to always try to give you a little bit of a nudge or assistance as I see you need to kind of keep up with the pack. So that's about it.